First, I want to thank everybody for sharing your stories. It's not easy, but we do it because we know it's the right thing to do. I also want to thank the Senator and his staff for contributing to those policies that you mentioned earlier of pre-existing conditions being removed, annual and lifetime caps being removed. Those have been instrumental in my son's care. Cystic fibrosis is a life-threatening disease. The mucus in the body becomes very thick and very sticky in the lungs, the pancreas, and other organs. In essence, the lungs become a perpetual breeding ground for bacteria. My son was diagnosed at 8 months, and because he's had access to adequate specialized care, the doctors handed him to us and said, don't worry, he should make 14. 14. He turned 23 this year. He turned 23 because he has the access to the health care. His day requires upwards of 30 pills a day, anti-inflammatories, antibiotics, steroids. Since 8 months, he can be hospitalized on average 4 or 5 times a year, from 10 days to 6 weeks. He was on IV treatments, for antibiotic IV treatments for his infection, 3 times a day for 7.5 years. And recently, the foundation and its amazing medical team introduced a gene-correcting drug. This is huge, gene-correcting, correcting the fundamental defective CFTR gene, Oricombi. Alex started taking the Oricombi about 2.5 years ago. And today, knock on wood, he hasn't been hospitalized in 2 years. He hasn't been on IV treatments for 2 years. To have access to this level of care is a fundamental right. It's a fundamental right. It's not debatable. There are no conditions of discussion around whether it should or should not exist. And because of the care that he gets, the average life expectancy for cystic fibrosis is now pushing 46 years. 23 years ago, nobody was even thinking about those goals or those dreams. Nobody was even imagining what that would mean. And the breakthrough drug development programs that are in place now, gene corrector therapy manages almost 85% of the CF population. 85%. To have access to the care, it has to be guaranteed, not debated. It has to be guaranteed. He's working full-time. He's 23. It's a whole different set of problems than CF, being 23. We'll get through it. He's a day-to-day kind of person, which I could probably use more of that teaching. But I can't imagine any person with cystic fibrosis or any pre-existing condition being denied the gene corrector. Being told that, sorry, we know it's going to extend your life. In fact, we know the clinical trials coming out next year are going to take the population's curability to 97% of the population. So what right does our government have to refuse that medication to any individual? What right do they have? They shouldn't. So yes, I'm filtering. I'm filtering. I'm filtering because here's a situation within a community of individuals that can have an opportunity for cure. Cure. Where in 1952, that wasn't even an option. The Orkambi was the second fastest drug approved in the history of the FDA. And you're going to deny that to somebody. We're all struggling with it. I think that my request is for the Department of Justice to change its position, to take into consideration each patient and patient matter at heart when you make a decision. It's their fundamental rights. Thank you.
Hi, my name's